And so I would like to actually introduce Sean Horry to come up and say a few words on a project that he's got going on, Sean. Thank you.
But only from you.
Okay.
Get her done.
See a second. You gotta get them up there.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I had some formal and some informal remarks about a project that the board first started discussing maybe a couple of months ago. And so some of this I jotted down a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to read, and some of it I'm not going to read, and I'm going to wing it. But so if you see me reading, it's because I'm reading. Welcome like a true librarian. College education is coming through right now. All right, it is with great pleasure that I get a chance tonight to make a presentation that's kind of near and dear to my heart. For many years, about 14 to be exact, and as many of you recall, and it was mentioned earlier, that I've headed up the Kiwanis Bike Rodeo. The rodeo was and will always continue to be one of the major points of emphasis for our Kiwanis Club. And I have relinquished my chairmanship of that to Jess, and I know Jess is going to do a tremendous job. There are always a few things and or people when you're chairmaning an event like the rodeo. It takes a lot of people to do it. It takes a lot of man hours. It takes a lot of planning. And whenever you're responsible, as I was for the last 14 years for putting on that rodeo, you got to count on your friends. And you got to count on people in the club. And there's always a couple of people every year that I can always count on. One of those individuals that fits the description to a T, of always being there for me, is Steve Reynolds. I'll break from my script here a little bit. It was going around the room a little bit earlier about Steve. Most of you know that he's back at you. Northwest Energy sent a plane down for him. I just talked to his wife 10 minutes ago, and he's in the hospital. They're arranging for hospice. Dave Curry saw him half an hour before he came here tonight. He's in great spirits. He looks very pale, very thin, very gaunt, but he's in great spirits. I'll tell you quickly about a joke I thought was funny that Dave said. Dave took a look at it and said, "Gee, you look kind of thin." And Steve said, "It's this diet I'm on." Well, he hasn't been able to eat for 2 weeks. And that's a great sense of humor. It really is. And before we go any further, I want to ask just a couple of minutes or a minute, maybe a moment of silence and a prayer for Steve. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to leave Steve for a moment and talk about another wonderful project that Kiwanis has going on. I'm going to circle back to Steve in a minute. Our club's very fortunate to have a lady by the name of Betsy Payhud as a member of our club. And Betsy, like Steve and a lot of other people in our club, Keith, and a lot of different people, puts hundreds and hundreds of hours into a certain endeavor that she takes very serious and she has as near and dear to her heart as my bike rodeo is to me. And it's the Montana Key Leader Project. Betsy believes in it, and she practices what she preaches, and she just takes it to heart. She does a wonderful job. Now, in case you don't know what Montana Key Leader is, it's a program that's statewide, and they take as many kids as they can possibly get from the entire state, and they take them to a retreat, I guess you'd call it, for a couple of 2-3 days, a Friday, Saturday, and they head home Sunday. And they teach these kids that want to learn leadership skills. And it's a wonderful program. And Betsy does a tremendous job of putting this on and making it happen. Now, Key Leader and the Bike Rodeo have two things in common, okay? They're not free. The Bike Rodeo costs our Kiwanis Club thousands of dollars each year. It does not come for free. Nobody's donating helmets. Don't get our pizza and our pop donated, and we're fortunate for that. But those helmets are not for free. The tuition for the Montana Key Leader program is not free. Okay? It has to come from somewhere. Okay? Typically, the kids have to pay the money themselves unless there's clubs that will donate it or however they arrive at it. It's about, Kathy and I were talking about it before the meeting, and I wanted to make sure I had my numbers right. It's a couple $100 at least each per student. 200. Yeah, thank you. But it's not free. Okay, nothing's free hardly anymore. You know? Now, to that end, Kiwanis, so both Kiwanis, has decided to do on an annual basis to endow 2 scholarships at Betsy Payhut's disposal each year to pay for tuition. Now, this is hopefully, at least as long as I hope I stay in the club, in perpetuity. It's not going to be something we do for a couple of years and then just forget about it and save money and not do it. It's perpetuity. Okay? We're going to do it for as long as, hopefully, as I'm on the, maybe not on the board of the club. I've been in it for 24 years now, and I plan on being in it, God willing, for another 24 years. But as long as I have anything to say about it, I hope that we will continue as a club to endow these scholarships. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to circle back to Steve, okay? Steve has been a tremendous help, as I mentioned earlier, with my rodeo each year, but he's been equally valuable sitting on the board, working as the club's treasurer, helping out on a myriad of other projects. And I'm not just talking about my bike rodeo. He's been tremendously helpful, a sounding board for people, a level-headed person that you can talk to when tempers might flare or something might be going on. Steve would be the guy sitting there, kind of taking it all in, that when it was all said and done, you could go to Steve and say, Steve, what do you think? Really level-headed and really a wonderful guy to have on your board and to have as a friend. At this time, in our last board meeting, the board felt it was entirely appropriate to recognize Steve Reynolds for his tireless efforts to serve the local Kiwanis. So at this time, the scholarships, again given on an annual basis of the Montana Key Leader Program, will henceforth be named the Steve Reynolds Montana Key Leader Scholarships. We're filming this half-baked presentation. What I'm trying to do is we're going to send it to Steve and Karen. I've just talked to Karen and made sure that was appropriate, and she felt it was appropriate, and that Steve would love to see it. And again, I know we just gave a round of applause for Steve, but I'm going to ask everyone to stand up and give Steve Reynolds a round of applause.
Champagne and sparkling cider. So go ahead and take your seats.
I got through that. It was nip and tuck for a while, but I made it. Okay. I was happy to do a toast.
Oh, why you want sparkling? We have sparkling and champagne, so just tell us what you want. The guys have the sparkling cider.
By the way, before we do the toast, if it's something that you felt was appropriate, I asked Karen if Steve was seeing friends, guests, anybody that wanted to go up and say hi to him. He's in the hospital right now, but Karen felt that he would love to see anybody that would want to come up and say hi.
You go now?
I don't know what the rules are up there, but maybe. I don't know. They're trying to get him home by Sunday and get hospice in and have hospice do their thing. And by Sunday, she told me just now they were hoping to have him home by Sunday. But I would say for sure tomorrow and probably Saturday he will be up in St. James.
He's in room 528.
There you go.
That there's only 2 per round.
We'll just have to take turns going in.
I know, right?
We have cider. There's sparkling cider too. We still need champagne.
Up here.
I should have.
You get on it, Mark.
I'm a little slow.
That architecture, these plans that he doesn't actually. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
That was correct. Almost.
Champagne, anybody?
I'm good.
So let's make it easier to do. Let's have fun, but I want to write over.
And it's just
Everybody have something?
actually look at me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as unaccustomed as I am to doing toasts, this time please raise a glass to our friend and fellow Kiwanian, Steve Reynolds.
Steve.
Your hair.
Thank you.
Your hair.